Hello everyone, welcome to Fallout 4. This is a video on some basic vault building. This is really basic stuff. If you're looking for something different, then this is probably not for you. So let's get started. What I recommend you do is if you haven't cleared your cave, clear your cave. If you haven't done the missions with Overseer, do the missions. At least the first mission where you explore cave, where you explore Vault 88. It clears a whole bunch of stuff. It gives you actually a whole bunch of material, so it's definitely worthwhile doing. And also it gives you access to two secret doors that you can exit. So there's actually three entrances into Vault 88. There's a lot of enemies down there, so you want to take a lot of mines and things like that, and then clear out. And once you have a very cleared vault, and you should just scrap everything. There's no point keeping anything, to be quite honest. Just basically scrap everything or store it if you want. Most of the stuff will force you to scrap it anyway. So what I recommend you do is you go to the entrance, or this entrance into the actual vault itself, into the larger vault, and you use the actual atrium or utility containers to actually build out from there, right? So it kind of goes into the cave here. There's kind of two by default, and then you want to add what I recommend. What I did is I added three on top of that, and the reason why you want to do that is when you start laying the floor tiles, it's straight, it's flush. If you don't do that and you lay the floor tiles without lining up with something, then you're going to run into problems later and everything's going to be skewed, right? So I did three, I got five across, and I got the steps in the middle. That's the first thing I actually built in the cave. I wanted to build my room, my office, and my room, my bedroom, and my goal was that. So what I did is I put steps, I threw down some floor tiles, I put steps up, and then I went steps up again, and I went steps up again, and I have this massive room at the top, which was my initial goal to get that done. And then I worked on creating the Overseer's room after that. So this is kind of the piece that I started with. Put a whole bunch of floor tiles, two steps up here, a whole bunch of extra floor tiles, and led up to this room up here, which is a much larger room around the corner here. You can't really see it. This is just the entrance. And that's where I'd start, right? So you want to make sure your tiles are straight and flush against the wall. So when you start building these rooms down at the bottom, and your cafeteria and your various areas, that it is somewhat straight, that it'll line up with stuff, and you don't run into issues and you have to redo it, and it'll just be a real pain, right? So the first thing we're gonna go through here is we're gonna build a room, right, from scratch. So what you want to do here is you want to go to your structures, you want to go to vault, you got your domestic, utility, and then your rooms. So the rooms is really probably the things that you're going to use the most, and there's a whole bunch of themes here. There's cafeteria theme, there's security theme, there's quarters, there's Overseer, which is the nicest with the wooden floors. And then we want to pick, the first thing we want to do before we start, because the problem with the rooms, the doors don't actually connect to the floor tiles properly. So we want to actually select the doorway from the atrium menu option. Okay, so as you can see, there's different themes here. Security. Okay, so we're now in Vault Atrium, and you want to select this doorway. This is the first thing you want to do. If you select this doorway and then you select the room doorway, they will connect perfectly, no problems, and otherwise you'll be wondering why they don't connect properly. Okay, so we're gonna go back to rooms, and I'm gonna pick security as my theme here. It's just kind of a no patterns on the wall. I think it's kind of a greenish color. And as you can see there, it just connects straight away, flush against the wall. And then we're going to just build the room, right? So generally I go 3 by 3 pieces is the size of the rooms I build. You can't actually build right to the back wall. You can get, depending on where you start from, but you can get somewhat large rooms, but the way my layout, you can't really actually get too close, which is actually good because that allows you to have access to behind the rooms. So if your power stops working, you can actually run cables behind, and it won't be visible, and you know, it's almost like a maintenance tunnel, right? Which is kind of cool. So we can select the centerpiece here. It's two side pieces. Typically, I like the windows. The more windows, the better. Just kind of when you look at the rooms, it's not too enclosed and dark. Even though you can't really see it, it kind of just gives you the impression. Okay, and then we're going to select the middle piece and then the two corner pieces. And then you're pretty much done, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a sign on the front, and then we're going to work on the power. And I'll talk a little bit about the power. The power is really finicky. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I had power working for my cafeteria area, and then I logged in the next day and it wasn't working. The whole back half of the rooms just stopped working for no apparent reason. And I moved floors around, I moved lights around, I replaced lights, I stored them, I scrapped them, and nothing seemed to work. And I ended up running cables, and I'll show you a bit later what I had to do to get it working. So you might have some rooms that aren't connected to the floor interconnected, and then you'll have to figure out a way to do it, and you're probably going to have to do it anyway, so you might as well get used to it. The other thing you want to do is put a reactor, so go and get a reactor. I have another video where I show you what I've done with my reactor room. Create a reactor room, throw a reactor in, and then you can run some cables from there. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a sign. I'm going to pick security, I think, and you'll notice there's no power. So we're going to actually go get the conduit. There's two things that come with the Vault DLC. Is the reactors, there's a couple reactors, and there's a whole bunch of things, but in terms of the power, there's a power conduit, and we're going to use that, and then I'm going to talk a bit about the power radiator as well. Okay, so just under your power, connections and switches, there is this Vault power conduit. So you want to put one of these in each room. Typically I put them in the right, as I walk in I turn around, I face the door, I put them on the right side of the room. You'll notice as I move it around the room, most of the lights will actually work. But if I move it to the back corner, for whatever reason, the lights stop working. And really that should be enough to power this room. But like I said, it's finicky, it's buggy, so just kind of expect that. Put it back in the front and it's all fine and dandy. So. Okay, so I'll put the power conduit in there, I'm going to throw a wall light, and you'll notice the lights come on. So I haven't wired anything, I haven't done anything that's connected to other floors and the rooms, and it's been powered through the floors and the walls, and that's all you really need in the most cases. You know, so I moved on the wall, the light's still working, I moved it to the back wall here, and guess what? The light's no longer working, where it really should, right? So it's all connected, the room's connected, there's nothing funky, it's very simple, you know, and it's not working, right? So I move it to the front, and the light comes on. So yeah, there's definitely some glitches going on there with the lights, so just be aware of that. Okay, let me throw some more lights in here, and I'll show you what the power radiator will do. So if you don't want this ugly switch on your wall, you've got the option to use a power radiator, or you may just have to use a power radiator because you can't get your lights to work and you need them to work. So that's definitely another option that you can use, right? So there you go. All lights are working at the moment. I'm just going to put some ceiling fluorescent lights on the ceiling at the top, just to have it nice and bright, even with 4 lights. You can notice in the middle, yeah, it's pretty dim. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to store the Vault conduit, and then I'm going to show you the radiator quickly and what you can do with that. you don't actually have to connect the radiator to anything. It just picks up power and then allows you to power room. So as you can see, my room is completely dark at the moment. And I'm going to grab the radiator, which is in the power switches and connections, and then I'm going to show you. If you haven't used that before, it's just kind of a little black thing. Unfortunately, it just sits on either the floor or the roof or something. It can't actually fit on the wall or anything, so you can't like put it on the back wall. Unfortunately, it's in the under conduit, not under the switches and connections. And it's just this black-looking thing. It's just kind of like a black. Almost looks like a little Wi-Fi box of some sort. So as you can see, I'm going to throw it on the floor here, and voila, the lights are on. The lights are on. You know, so it radiates a certain distance. They suggest you as you. I turned it off, and my lights on the right hand side are actually still working. You notice that? So it's obviously picking up power from the floor and stuff, but not all the tiles are actually connected, which is weird, right? So you know, you could, you know, if you really don't want it to have it visible, you want a nice clean layout, you throw it on the roof, but you'll probably need you know, one for each quadrant or one area. You know, it's gonna get a little tricky, but let me just at least show you how it works. Okay, just on the power conduit and its radiator. Okay, and you'll notice my lights are working, but not all of them. You'll notice my back right hand corner is actually dark. So it radiates a certain area. In fact, it probably is not. It's probably not actually powering the front two lights. Or it's probably powering the front right hand light. If you're standing facing the door from inside, it's not powering the left because it's probably picking up power from other buildings. So I'm just trying to center it here to see if it makes a difference. And no difference, the light at the back still not working. So yeah, so there is an option. So you can experiment. You might have to, like I said, you might have to put a few down. You know, it's a little finicky. I don't know what the diameter of radius it actually powers, but it does emit power, and it might be a cleaner solution for you. But I wouldn't. I would just stick to the radiator if that doesn't bother you. That would be my recommendation. You'll notice the vault comes with a nice clean bed, which is pretty cool. Long overdue, I think. You know, having those horrible looking beds. You can also put a nice white comfy pillow on your bed. You can't do it through the workshop as you'd expect you would be able to do. It just doesn't click. What you can do, if you're on Xbox and you have to push the equivalent on your platform, you can hold down the A button and it'll allow you to select the item, and then you can actually move it around with your analog sticks. If you just click A, it'll put it in your inventory, so you want to actually hold down A until it's selected, and then let go of A, and then it'll allow you to actually move around the pillow, and then you might just need to be in an angle to try and align the pillow with the headboard as close as possible, but it is doable, and you got this nice white soft pillow on your bed, which is kind of neat with no mods. Okay, so we're going to build another room just at the top of the steps. I couldn't actually build it at the bottom here because there was a sand that was higher than the rest, and it didn't allow me to actually do that, right? So we're going to build another room in exactly the same way. You'll notice I ran into some issues, so I ended up having to build an L-shaped room here instead because of something to do with the rocks. I couldn't get the one piece in there, right? So I ended up building a larger room, but like you said, you're going to run into issues where the wall doesn't fit, or you have to do something else, or you're going to move stuff around. So this is just one of them. There you go. I've got an L-shaped room, decent sized room. So I'm just gonna throw a sun on the front and then put a power conduit in, and then some lights, and then I think we're good to go. So we're just going to put the power conduit and light up the room, and then we can put the sun in the front, make sure it's powered. I'm then going to just put some tables around, and then near the end of the video I actually show you where I lost power to the back of my cafeteria, and I had to wire it from the reactor, and you'll get to see the reactor a little bit, and the wires. So I'll point out the wires to you. So sometimes you're just going to have to wire it.